Yeah, good shit.
Yo, what's the word, man? It's Cosmic Lando, the Hood Shaman Wizard, and you are now tuned in with the In Tune. In this video, we're going to be talking about Gervonta Tank Davis versus Frank the Ghost Martin. And the question is Frank Martin Tank's best opponent so far? So let me break down my perspective on it. Now, I know a few of the opponents that most people will bring into play when this topic comes up is guys like Isaac Pitbull Cruz, Mario Barrios, and Ryan Garcia. Before I get into the Frank Martin fight, I will give a brief overview of these other fights. Pitbull Cruz, he put up a great fight against Tank. You know, a lot of people bring up the fact that he lasted 12 rounds, unlike 95% of Tank's opponents. So that's good. I think Pitbull in this fight, he applied pressure for the most part throughout the whole fight. He was pretty effective offensively. However, I would like to point out, of course, that Tank fought with one hand, you know, because his power hand, even though he has power in both hands, but his main power hand as a southpaw was hurt in this fight, so he couldn't utilize it as he normally would, and that's a major factor in the result of this fight. However, Tank fought very beautifully on defense. He slipped majority of the punches that Pitbull threw. He was able to be very effective offensively. So although I have a lot of respect for Pitbull Cruz in this fight and in his future fights afterwards, I don't consider him the best opponent that Tank has had so far. Something that we got to point out about Pitbull Cruz is that he was the replacement, a late replacement for Rolly Romero. So, I got to give him props for that. He came in late and he was able to have a great fight against Tank. Some people thought that he won, but me watching the fight, I don't think that it was close, although it was a great fight to watch. Okay, now Mario Barrios. The thing with the Mario Barrios fight is that Tank was going up to 140 to challenge Barrios for the world championship at that weight class. This was Tank's first time at 140, so that was a challenge. Also, Mario Barrios was 6'1", I believe. And Tank is about 5'5", 5'6". This was his tallest opponent so far, so that was of course a challenge. Tank knocked him down 3 times before the stoppage in the 11th round. So obviously Mario Barrios was extremely tough. He was putting up a great fight throughout the whole fight or whatnot, and Tank started picking him apart, and he started catching him with some vicious shots. It is what it is. Next we have Ryan Garcia. The thing about this fight is, a lot of people was branding it as, the fight for the face of boxing. You know what I'm saying? This is a very major fight. This was Tank's biggest fight in his career so far. However, when it comes to the technicalities of the actual fight, the reason why Ryan Garcia was not Tank's best opponent, although he was, he came in the fight, he was very, pressuring. He was on it immediately. Like, he wanted to knock Tank out the first round. You know what I'm saying? And I respect that. So he came out, he was trying to pop that famous left hook. He was trying to catch Tank, but he was ineffective. He did catch Tank with certain shots, but not the left hook. And we all know about the beautiful karate movie echelon liver shot that Tank hit this man with. You couldn't even see the shot from watching it on first view. You had to slow it down to really catch the shot. Man, that was a very legendary shot. I haven't seen a punch that beautiful. I don't know if I've ever seen it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe y'all let me know if y'all seen a punch that well timed and that effective. He made Ryan Garcia's nose bleed with this punch. And Ryan Garcia, he backed up, then, oh, no, I can't, his body shut down. And he wanted to get up, but Tank looked at him like, come on. And Ryan Garcia, like, man, I'll be damned. So I don't consider Ryan Garcia his best opponent, although it was, high stakes, major stakes. I just don't think that he was, the caliber to qualify as, Tank's best opponent. Now we get to my personal opinion. Tank's best opponent, Frank the Ghost Martin. Let's talk about the surrounding details of the fight. This was MGM Grand's 100th championship fight night. So it was a very special night, very, very special night. And that's going to play into factor of the things that I'm going to break down in 1 second. Frank Martin and Tank Davis, they had a sparring session that, for those that seen it, I haven't seen it, of course, but everybody was saying like they would have paid $100 to watch that sparring match. You know what I'm saying? So it was a very classic sparring match. You know what I'm saying? They both gave their different takes on it, and I even love the moment that they had at the press conference where they was watching it together. It was very dope to me. Now to break down Frank Martin is about 1 inch, maybe 2 inches taller than Tank. They have about the same reach and things like that. Now, something that is important to point out is that Frank Martin started late. You know what I'm saying? He was a late bloomer in the sport of boxing. However, with him being a late bloomer, he was very, very, very skilled, very technically sound, very defensively responsible. And I accredit that to, being under the tutelage of Errol Spence, but most importantly, Derrick James. I believe Derrick James instilled in him the perfect dynamics of technicalities to be able to succeed as much as he did so far in his career, Frank Martin. Now, let's get down to the fight. To open up this fight, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie, man. I was a little worried about, I was a little worried. I'm like, man, I don't know, man. Tank, you know what I'm saying? Frank is sturdy, man. He tough, he's strong, he fast, he technical, he skilled, he talented. I don't know, man. Tank has his hands full with this one. Although Tank has had his hands pretty full with majority of his opponents. Although, people like to downplay him, but if you really look at Tank's opponents, all of them might not have the names, but they all got the danger about them. Now, so, we get to the first round. Man, Frank was on it first round. He was coming out with the pressure, applying pressure on Tank. He was popping that jab a lot, double jabs, triple jabs sometimes, and he was hitting Tank in the body a couple of times. He caught Tank a few times with the left hand. Frank was fighting very well defensively. He was moving around the ring and things of that nature. He was keeping his guard up in the right moments and things like that. Tank was just walking him down basically. Not really doing anything offensively, but he was applying that mental pressure, which is very important for this fight. Now we get to the second round. It's pretty much the same thing. Frank is applying pressure, getting some real good combos in. Although he wasn't hitting, connecting everything, he was, these were strong punches, and if they was catching the glove, I know Tank, still felt them. But Tank having the chin he was good. Frank still on the same thing, and in this round I would like to point out that Tank had caught him with a nice uppercut to the body. It was real slick, and he kind of did this like slowly picking it up throughout as the rounds would go on, which played a factor in Frank slowing down. Third round, kind of the same thing, but you see Tank start to pick it up more. He's starting to find his shots. He's starting to hit Frank a little bit and things of that nature. So at this point I do have Frank up by 3 rounds, but I'm noticing that Tank is just he is mentally winning the fight because he's just applying pressure. And you see Frank is fighting very smartly, but with somebody like Tank that's able to put you out at any moment, you have to be on point at all times, and that can be very mentally draining. You know what I'm saying? So Frank, he still, he kind of got these rounds in the pocket or whatnot. Fourth round is what a pendulum swings at. I would like to call the fourth round a swing round. And this is where Tank starts to pick it up more. Again, Frank is still having some success, but you see Tank is catching him. You know, the crowd is starting to, they think it's something coming and stuff like that. Tank, it's a very good fight. You know what I'm saying? Still at this point, 5th round, you start to see Tank taking over a little bit more, and you start to see Frank slowing down. Tank is starting to, catch him, because Frank was, circling around, and oftentimes he would get to the corner. Now, at first, in the beginning of the fight, when Tank would catch him in the corner and try to hit him, Frank would back out, pivot, and, sometimes he would counter Tank with a clean left or a clean jab, strong, stiff jab. But in the 5th round, although he still did it a few times, he didn't do it as much, and Tank started to catch him a little bit on the ropes. A little too much. The 6th round, pretty much the same. Tank starts picking up a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Frank is still fighting, though. You start to notice Frank is tiring down. He's not moving as much. And the same thing kind of goes for the 7th round. Frank is getting a little comfortable on the ropes at times. I'm guessing because maybe he's tired. That's understandable. He's mentally drained from the pressure the whole time. And also, Tank is catching him with some nice body shots in pockets. Just sneaky body shots. Sneaky, powerful body shots. Now we get to the 8th round. The 8th round is, where, it's all she wrote. Tank catches him in the corner again. He starts to let off on him. Boom, 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 boom. Get him with an uppercut. Boom. That stunned him. He couldn't move. Then boom, that nice left hook that he laid him out with, man. That was a beautiful knockout, and I love Frank Martin. He's one of my favorite fighters. To me, he was worthy of being a champion. You know what I'm saying? And Tank told him, like, you're going to be a champion, and just not on June the 15th. And that reigned true in this fight. So I love Frank Martin, man. He's a very good fighter, and I didn't want to see him get knocked out because I know how fans can be. They'll start to, downplay who you are when you take a loss. But this is Tank, man. This is Gervonta Tank Davis. You lose to Tank Davis in a good fight like this, that man deserves his respect, man. And that's partially the point in this video. I want to make sure that Frank Martin gets his respect, although he took a loss. Now, with all that being said, I do have Frank the Ghost Martin being Gervonta Tank Davis's best opponent so far. He was extremely technically sound, fundamentally sound, defensively responsible. He was woke the whole time. The only difference in this fight, the big difference in this fight, is the experience factor, man. He was nervous at moments, and which is why he would be on the ropes and he'll freeze up a little bit. But even he fought through that well, though, man. He fought through that well, and I give Frank Martin major props, man, because he was able to fight through that. Most fighters ain't able to fight through that state of, shock and mental paralysis, where somebody has you cornered, and this is the baddest puncher in the game. You know what I'm saying, man? He can knock you out with so many different punch variations with the left, the right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's understandable that a guy in there, especially with no experience, not only just with a fighter of this caliber, but on a stage of this caliber. Like I said in the beginning, this is the 100th MGM Grand Championship fight night. Think about that. In Vegas, the biggest stage in boxing. You know what I'm saying? The most important arena in boxing. So a guy like Frank Martin, who had, I believe, 18 fights at the time, and he did have a big fight against Michelle Rivera, who he beat while he was on steroids. Let's point that out. He had that big fight, but nah, Tank Davis, come on, man. That's a different level, and anybody would be nervous. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you got people, you know what I'm saying, that don't like Tank, and they putting the pressure on you to beat them. You know what I'm saying? They oh man, Tank is not gonna, whatever they trying to disrespect Tank, who Tank is, and they saying, this guy Frank, which he could have upset Tank. You know what I'm saying? I think he could have if he was able to, fight with less pressure. You know what I'm saying? And maybe he could have pulled it off, I believe. But that wasn't the case. He had all the pressure on him. You know what I'm saying? This was a Tank coming off of, a situation where, he was behind bars. So he had a lot of, as he told him in the press conference, I got a lot built up and I'm going to take it out on you. I hate it got to be you, but I'm going to take it out on you. And he did do that. Unfortunately for my guy Frank Martin. But yeah, that's really all I gotta say on that, man. I do have a lot of respect for Frank the Ghost Martin, and I do hail him as Gervonta Tank Davis's best opponent so far in his career. I think the only better opponent for Tank is Shakur. And man, I can't wait to break that fight down, man. I cannot wait. So yeah, man. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts, man. Again, much respect to Frank Martin, man. Much respect to Tank. You know what I'm saying, man? Beautiful fight. I love this fight. I could keep rewatching it, although I'm going to hate that ending, man. I'm going to hate the ending, but I could keep rewatching it. Much love to both of these guys, man. Much success continuing for both of these guys, man. I can't wait to see Tank back, of course, but I can't wait to see Frank Martin back, man. I want him to come back, you know what I'm saying, get a W on his belt. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully he can fight maybe Shakur or any one of the other tough guys, maybe Edwin De Los Santos. That would be a lovely fight. But I want to see him back. You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't count him out just because, Tank got him. That's Tank. Come on, man. That's Tank. Who has Tank not got besides two people? Like, be realistic. So, yeah, man, I appreciate y'all for checking this video out. If y'all liked it, hit that like button. If y'all got something to say, hit that comment section. And if you want to follow me on this journey and, hit different topics from me, see different videos from me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, baby. We going to be here. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Cosmic Lando tuning out.
And most importantly, I want to thank everybody that came out, everybody that tuned in, everybody that was a part of this event, this great event. I was about to say Showtime. Amazon Prime, Leonard, Errol Spence, definitely my opponent Frank Martin, definitely my opponent Frank Martin, his team, everybody, Al Heyman, thank y'all for this great event.
Tank, congratulations. Fantastic. Calvin, congratulations. Thank you.
Yeah, good shit.